Hey everyone, great to connect with you again today. We continue our regular schedule this Sunday, worship at 8:30 and 11. The 11 o'clock service will be streamed as usual. Kids Connect, Youth Sunday School, Adult Discipleship are at 8:45. And this Sunday I'm going to be talking about another metaphor for the church based on the story of Jesus and the disciples fishing in John 21. We will also be receiving Holy Communion during both worship services this Sunday. My sermon this past Sunday on the church as a human body, an idea that the Apostle Paul mentions in Romans 12, Ephesians 4, 1 Corinthians 12, led to a follow-up conversation a couple of days later. The gist of that conversation was spiritual gifts. And specifically, how do we discover our spiritual gifts? What do we do with our spiritual gifts? Should our involvement in ministry and service be limited to those things that we feel are connected to our spiritual gifts or something more? It was an enlightening conversation. As we were talking, an image came to my mind. Now I realize that not all images connect with our experience and interests. So if this one doesn't connect with you, bear with me. But hopefully it will still make sense. The image that came to my mind was playing basketball. I've always loved playing basketball, perhaps it's from growing up in Indiana where basketball is so much a part of the landscape. As a child, I'd go out even in cold weather and spend hours all by myself shooting baskets at the hoop attached to our neighbor's garage. When we moved to a more populous city, our after-school activity was pickup games with all the guys in the neighborhood. When I was 12, I went out for the 6th grade basketball team at our grade school. I quickly discovered that being under 5 feet tall was a disadvantage. It also didn't help that I was slower than molasses. But what really held me back was that I struggled to use my left hand. I could dribble with my left hand, but I couldn't make layups with my left hand. Maybe it's because of that experience that I'm in awe of players who are as adept making layups with their non-dominant hand as they are with their dominant one. Some of them seem almost ambidextrous when it comes to making layups. But I've also noticed that those players who are so good at making layups with both hands only take longer range shots with their dominant hand. I don't see players at the highest levels shoot free throws with both hands. I don't see them shooting long three-point shots with both hands. They instinctively realize that there's a place and a time for shooting with their less dominant hand and a place and a time to not. When it comes to involvement, most of us have a recognized giftedness. We know we're good at it. We've developed this gift. We like using this gift. We tend to be comfortable and fruitful using this gift. So when people ask me about involvement, I typically ask them, what do you like to do? What are you good at doing? What kinds of things bring you joy? And then I tell them, so do that. God is giving you this gift, use it. Like taking a long jump shot. But I'm also convinced that involvement is not just shooting jump shots with our dominant hand. It's also about being willing to shoot layups with our less dominant hand. Sometimes needs arise that aren't necessarily in our wheelhouse, but we feel a sense of the Spirit's prompting anyway. We realize that we can contribute because we have some time, or because we have a sense of the burden, or because we know there's a need. If our corporate involvement was limited to all of us only doing what we like to do or what's comfortable to do, a lot wouldn't get done. And most of what wouldn't get done would be the hard things, the challenging things, and often the neediest things. And what I've discovered is that I feel great joy when I use my dominant gifts. But I've also discovered that there's an even deeper joy in being involved, even if my involvement isn't those most dominant gifts. Maybe it's because in these moments, my involvement is really less about me and more about others. So let me encourage you to develop and strengthen your dominant hand. But let me also encourage you to be willing to use your offhand too. You might be surprised how much fun it is to make a left-handed layup. Father, thank you for the gifts you've given all of us. Open our eyes to the ways you are calling us to be involved in your kingdom and to find joy in all of our obedience. Amen. Thanks again for joining me. Have a wonderful day.